two questions for you, one full on and one off. When it comes to on the field, I know Darwin was mentioning yesterday just how the guys shorter in stature have had a little bit harder time learning how to kind of block, and he had to review some film. Just curious to see what you've gone through in the film study room to get those guys ready to go, especially since Clyde is also around the same height. And then also off the field, I know your son's playing high school football in the Kansas area. First, congratulations to him on his commitment. But second, just your overall confidence level as a parent that everybody at the high school level is doing what they can to make sure football is played safely, despite not having the same protocols at the level that the NFL has.
Yeah, first with Darwin and those guys like that, I mean, again, those guys have come back. Darwin has done a great job evaluating himself, really working on the things he needs to work on. And as far as just his stature coming up and attacking guys in pass protection, and that same thing has been universal throughout the room, but the emphasis on the guys with a shorter stature getting up and not letting people get into your body. So we watched some film last night on that just in preparation for being ready for that when the season comes. As far as, my sons and everything are concerned, I mean, I got the ultimate confidence in what the school district over there in Blue Valley is doing, supreme confidence in Andy Sims and those guys and how they care for their students, student athletes. And I'll definitely will respect whatever decision they make moving forward. But they got some nice protocols in place that me and my family feel confident about.
Let's go to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, you obviously knew what Clyde Edwards-Helaire could do just from watching the tape before the draft. But now that you actually have him in camp, and he seems to come up with an eye-popping move or an eye-popping catch every single day, but what are you seeing out of this kid?
What I'm seeing is somebody who's extremely hardworking, who's he's very hard on himself, and I could be good and bad. He's somebody who's a perfectionist. He wants to have perfect practices. And, it'd be nice to say you're going to have those, but you're not going to have those all the time. So you need to be able to take the good with the bad, but more in his case, the bad, and move forward. So that's something that we're really working on him with. Hey, you got to just play the next play. But, really been impressed with just his demeanor, his approach to the game, the things he does on the field, and that he will correct himself even if there's something that goes, off the rails. He'll come off and say, man, I was supposed to run this, or I should have looked over the other way. So he's somebody who's constantly self-checking himself.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Deland, good to see you, man. I have two questions for you. You mentioned the consistency that Darrel had shown last year before his injury. First, I just wonder, what are the nuances or the small things that you're noticing with him being in the offense another year that you guys have seen in camp so far? And secondly, for someone like DeAndre Washington, who's kind of having to learn this as quickly as possible, just what has his progression been, given that he's obviously played in the NFL, but he's learning some of the new terminology and just the style of which you guys have practiced so far in camp?
Well, Darrel's been Darrel. I mean, that's the one thing about him. This guy's been consistent to me since day one. Probably you're talking about his third training camp, he's probably had 4 errors in all that time. So he's somebody that you can definitely count on to be in the right place and do the right things at all times. And then be able to produce when he has those opportunities. So what he's done is he's become more of a leader in the room, doing things with the whole running back group as far as doing extra conditioning after practice, catching extra balls and different things like that. So trying to make other guys on the same level he is as far as his complete understanding and bringing those guys to the reliability level that he has. DeAndre, he's really come on strong here these last couple of days. In the beginning, he's getting his feet underneath him. Obviously, learning the system, different things like that. But, he's really been coming on strong. He's a consummate professional, really like him interpersonally. But he's been showing some stuff on the field that we definitely could see helping us this season.
Let's go to Steve Walls. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Deland, how you doing?
Right.
Hey, well, talking to Darwin yesterday, he said that last year he was timid and his eyes were wide open, being his first year. After seeing him in camp so far, does it seem like he's more confident, and how has he improved from last year?
I heard from Darwin probably 100 times during this offseason just about him self-evaluating himself, self-studying himself, and then coming into this season with a big chip on his shoulder. And it showed, the things that were maybe in question or things that he needed to work on last year, he's definitely addressed those things, So, again, with it starting with himself and him internalizing what he needs to fix, it makes my job even easier because it's not a fight. It's like, hey, I'm in the same fight, coach. I'm trying to correct the same things and gain the confidence of everybody here. And that's what he's been en route to doing. So been really impressed with Darwin. He'll continue to be a work in progress, but the guy's headed in the right direction for sure.
Let's go to Sarin Petro. Go ahead, Sarin.
Coach, thank you for the time. I'd like to go back to the question. I think it was Harold asked about the high school football. And, look, we know the process that goes on for your guys, right? They got a union that steps up for them, and, they got to come to an agreement, and they've got people that are standing up for them and protecting them and taking care of them. I'm just curious. You're in the middle of that, right? Watching as a coach and seeing both of them. But as a parent, you're on one side of it. How did compare and contrast, like how much information you saw being exchanged in the NFL and how much information you got from the high school level? I mean, because I'm sure it's similar at the college level as well. Were you at the school? Did they demonstrate? Did they have videos? Like what was some of the protocol that was done in compare and contrast high school to the NFL?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is, especially with me being back at work, a lot of those things, and my wife is the one who's now I'm not going up and seeing anything too much at this moment, but I'm briefed by her. And then obviously when I get home in the evenings, I talk to my sons about what are some of the things that's going on. And I know I listened in on the a live stream that they had on the board meeting the other night, and I felt, comfortable with what was going on there. So again, I put it in the hands of those guys, professional people, strong community, definitely care for the students and the student athletes there. So I'm comfortable at this moment with the information that I have.
We've got time for a couple more guys. Let's go Pete and then finish with Darren. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Deland, I was curious, now that you've gotten an ability to get your hands on Clyde and had conversations with Eric Bieniemy and Coach Reed, in your own estimation, what do you think Clyde could mean for what the offense will be able to do as a whole?
I mean, he's going to come in there. He's going to do some great things for us. It's going to fit similar to the role what he did for the national champions last year. A guy that can run the ball at a high level, run with velocity, run with great feet, pad level, and power. An elusive guy in the open field. We'll have situations where he'll be able to use those skills in the open field, whether it be through screens or downfield routes, and he's shown that he can do those things. The big thing is mentally picking everything up. And he's definitely en route to doing that. Feel very confident putting him out there with the first group at this moment. I mean, the guy's been he's been performing at a higher level mentally than what you would expect a rookie to do. So again, we're going to continue working on things. We got stuff to work on like everybody do. But I feel confident by the time the season comes, this guy's going to be ready to roll.
Go to Darren for our last one. Go ahead, Darren.
Thank you very much, Coach. Kind of following up on what Steve had asked you about Darwin. Obviously, when you're drafted and you play, you win the Super Bowl, and then the team goes out and they draft a running back with their first pick in the first round. What conversations did you have with him about, making sure that he was there mentally, confidence-wise, that, hey, you're still a part of this mix, still part of this group, making sure that, because we drafted somebody else doesn't mean that we're not impressed with what you've done throughout the year. And then also, I'm kind of big on it, but how often do you and Eric Bieniemy kind of, have conversations with the running backs post-practice throughout the year, to help them get better? Do they come out and seek advice from both of you all, since you all played at the highest level?
Well, as far as Darwin understand, this was part of the business, and you continue to do things to raise the level of your team and create competition. So Darwin, just with his upbringing and his origins and just his mindset and personality, he embraced, being in the room and competing with the guys that's in there, regardless, first round, whatever. He knows always going to be competition there. So, and the things I already mentioned earlier, he's ready to take on that competition. As far as the conversations with me and Coach Bieniemy, it's evident with me. I'm the running back coach, so they're talking to me on the regular, for sure. Coach EB definitely, I know on the field, he'll provide a nugget or two as the guys are coming off the field and give them some words of wisdom also. But obviously, intimately with me as we go through film and look at things, and I'm giving these guys tips and reminders and other coaching points on how to raise their game to the next level. But between me and Coach EB, we're going to have these guys, they're going to be ready to roll for sure.
Coach McCullough, we appreciate the time today. Thank you.
All right, thanks.